Warning, the following video contains content that may disturb, frighten or scare viewers and should not be viewed by the faint of heart. Are you waiting for a jump scare? Well, I haven't got a jump scare. No, not here. Why would I jump scare you? That's not a thing I do. Gameplay-wise, Okami is flawed. However, aesthetically, Okami is more or less perfect. Using an ukiyo-e art style, it is just absolute beauty, allowing for a brilliant and colourful atmosphere. As you enter a new area, you'll find different places look incredibly desperate and dead. Most places carry a lot of curse stones as well and require revitalising by blossoming a guardian sapling. Once the sapling is revitalized, it obliterates that area's curse and revitalizes that area. One of these areas is Ryoshima Coast, the area that comes before one of the most desperate cities in the entirety of Nippon, Seian City. It looks incredibly dead, and to release it of its curse, you have to relieve the sunken ship of its curses. The sunken ship is, well, let's just say it takes the prettiness of the rest of the game and turns it right on its head. The entirety of the sunken ship is murky and creepy, with most of the doors cursed, forcing you to use the booby lady and her prayer slips to unlock the doors and, well, having saved yourself from the cursed treasure chest. However, those aren't the only things in there. In one area, a hand will materialise out of the water within the ship, but you can use that as a platform to some kind. Assuming you're careful, it can also attack you, so yeah, don't bugger up. And lastly, it is home to the ghost of one of the prior bosses, the Spider Queen. That face. It doesn't help that the Japanese name of the Spider Queen is Jorogumo, prostitute spider. I'm not okay with this! Batman Arkham Asylum is a really good game. Sure, Arkham City has it beaten across the park in almost every aspect of its gameplay, but I have a bit of a soft spot for Asylum. Why? Because it just is much more creepy. It's set in a lunatic asylum after all. Why wouldn't it be creepy? The moment the Joker enters the asylum, everything turns to total shit, and the rollercoaster of freakiness begins. At one point the Joker will tell you to face your fears. And now we go into the darker depths of the asylum. You see a room where people are being mentally tortured by Scarecrow, whose shadow can be seen at the back of the room. Further on, you'll see cockroaches leave the walls and leading to the dead body of Commissioner Gordon. You also try to contact Oracle, but you don't reach her.
Barbara, I'm sorry. I was too late.
I'm sorry. The number you've dialed isn't available. Please leave a message after the tone.
Barbara, are you there?
Please hang up your phone.
You are then led to a morgue. You go inside and notice the entire room is getting creepy and stuff. Well, it is a morgue, so that goes without saying. You try to leave, and surprise, surprise, you find yourself back in the morgue. In the centre, where there was nothing before, there are 3 tables, each with a body bag on them. One contains your dead mother.
Mom?
Help us, Bruce! Don't let us die!
Another contains your dead father.
Father?
should have stood up to him, son. Like a man.
And the last one contains... Yep, it contains Scarecrow, who disappears right after that. However, you walk out the morgue again to be met with a Metal Gear-esque stealth test, where you have to avoid being in Scarecrow's line of sight, otherwise he stabs you and stuff. It ain't nice. There are 2 more of these encounters, but for the sake of keeping this video concise, I'll avoid talking about them, and let you experience them for yourself if you haven't already. Seriously, go get Arkham Asylum. It's £10 on Steam. Just go, play it if you haven't already. Just buy it, play it, go on, play. Earthbound is a game not like many others. It's a game that had been designed with Western audiences in mind, and it's among one of the more unique games of the Super Nintendo's library, and is certainly one of the bigger gems of the 90s. And why not? It's cool, colourful, and brilliantly written with astonishingly well-handled translations by Marcus Lindblom, and some really damn cool music. Its plot is really bizarre though. Basically, before not too long, Gygas will take over the world, causing the world to fall to ruin. As such, you will have to go back in time to stop Gygas in a form where he is defenceless. The only problem with this, however, as Dr. Andernuts informs you, is that the human body cannot handle travelling back in time. Instead, the Doctor puts your party's brains into robots, so that you can go back in time to stop Gygas. And this leads on to the Cave of the Past. This is the last area of the main game, and it is like nowhere else in the entire game. The music is a constant drone, and every enemy here is very difficult to beat. However, at the end, there is this tunnel. It's structured in a bizarre way, but at the end of it, there's Gygas. Sort of. Yeah, he just looks like some weird swirly thing now that's just kinda looks like it's trying to scream. But what's more, the music that plays here is definitely creepy. Once enough damage has been dealt, however, it becomes this. Its pattern looks like a fetus within the womb of a woman, which is kind of what the Devil's Machine, the passage to Gygas, looks like. Kind of amazing how Nintendo subtly introduced the female genitalia as a plot point to a game. Yay. And what's more, this is based off of a game of the director of the game's childhood experiences, having walked into the wrong theatre and saw that what he interpreted as a rape scene from the film Kenpei to Barabara Shibijin, The Military Policeman and the Dismembered Beauty. If the title's anything to go by, I don't think I'll be watching that film anytime soon. This has both the implied and explicit creepiness. However, given how Gygas is always constantly mentioned as being one of the creepiest entities in video games, I kind of don't want to put him any higher on the list because I just don't. Yeah, shut up. Okay, I have another thing to confess. I only beat Resident 4 recently, and it's the only game in the franchise that I have had I've played for an extensive amount of time. I'm more of a Silent Hill person, but for what it's worth, Resident Evil 4 is a really good game, and the version I played, the Wii version, is easily the best version by far. Tons of improvements to the gameplay, a ton of stuff to do, the encouragement of replay for the game, and for its time, some pretty damn sweet cinematics and graphics as a whole. Anyway, this game is horror, but it's different in its execution by comparison to the Resident Evil standard, with a camera that's now over their shoulder instead of in a specific location. This in turn allows for the player to control our character much easier, as well as aim our weapons properly. In Chapter 5 you enter a laboratory-like area, home to what seems like a large humanoid that is infected by the Plagas. Little do you realise that you will be fighting it as a standard enemy. Yep, the Regenerator's presence can be felt as soon as you hear this creepy music in the background, and the sound of its harsh breathing as well. Now what makes these enemies remarkable is the fact that they are invincible, save for 3 different parts of the body that serve as weak points, all of which can be seen with the sniper rifle's thermoscope. They hit those 3 points and it gets kablooey time.
Nom nom nom, creepy freakazoid time!
I love the Fear series a lot. I played each installment and I absolutely loved the scare factor in the first game especially. It's just a shame that Fear 3 is quite shit. No, seriously, it really is. Anyway, what made Fear a genuinely good series is its inspiration from Japanese horror films. Anyone who has played at least the first will perfectly understand why. You're thrown into a paranormal investigation right away as your fellow attack team members are decimated before you, with one of them going missing. The cause of this is unknown, but all that is left of them are their skeletons and a massive puddle of blood. The only thing you have to go on in this is that there is a little girl in a red dress with long black hair that covers most of her face, and she doesn't appear there alone, but she appears in the entire game in different locations, some of which when you don't expect it. Continuing your investigation brings you to an industrial estate, under which is a massive complex holding Armacam's darkest secret. You know that little girl that you see from time to time? Well, she's not the little girl you assume her to be. No. In fact, it turns out that she is 16, half dead, naked, and pissed. And what's more, she is a test subject in which she birthed 2 prototypes, commanders of a massive squadron consisting of 1,000 replica soldiers. As it transpires, you, the Fear Point Man, are the second prototype. If this game had any more twists in it, it would be a dance performed on Strictly Come Dancing. And speaking of twists, let's not get it in the ending of Fear 2. The less said of that, the better. As I said earlier, I prefer Silent Hill over Resident Evil. The reasons for this are pretty simple, yet understandable. Resident Evil is a series of games where you can see the enemies and act accordingly, but ultimately rely on sudden scares to creep you out. Not that they're not creepy, but rather the impact they leave is short-lived. Silent Hill, on the other hand, is a series of games where you can't see the enemies right away, forcing you to listen out for your radio producing white noise. Because of the scares done in this fashion, instead of going along with just 1 or 2 sudden jump scares to keep you on your toes, it produces a more atmospheric experience. My favourite installment of the series, Silent Hill 2, follows the story of James Sutherland, whose wife died, and returns to Silent Hill to try and rid himself of the nightmares he has lived with for a while. Throughout the game you'll encounter beings called Pyramid Heads, 6.5 foot tall humanoid creatures with what seems to be a massive helmet resembling a pyramid in some description. You'll encounter a few of them, the first one in a cutscene and not long after as the first boss. Their reason for existence hasn't been found out until the end of the game. You find the hotel where you and your wife, Mary, stayed on holiday at Silent Hill. The problem is, however, is that she didn't die from natural causes like you are told at the start of the game. Instead, she died by James's own hands. Mary did have a disease that essentially crippled her, but James put her out of her misery by smothering her with a pillow. It doesn't help that there is a near-perfect look-alike of Mary walking in Silent Hill called Maria. Just a word of warning though, she dies. A lot. However, she usually returns at points as though nothing ever happened, ignorant to a death that she experienced not too long ago. However, the last time we see her die, there are a few pyramid heads in the room. In shock, James falls to the ground and openly acknowledges the pyramid head's raison d'etre. James's guilt is manifested in these pyramid heads, slowly eating away at his sanity and there to punish James for his actions.
I was weak. That's why I needed you. Needed someone to punish me for my sins. But that's all over now. I know the truth. Now it's time to end this.
Okay, I'm a sucker for System Shock 2. I absolutely love this game and I'm glad that I'm finally able to play it legally without any compatibility issues at all. Thanks, Base GOG. Anyway, in this game you are a soldier who went under cryostasis for the journey to the Von Braun, the first spaceship in history capable of faster than light speed travel. The problem is, you woke up at an incredibly inopportune time. The ship is overrun by what seems to be alienoid zombie creepy things. I don't even know how to describe them. That said, they aren't the only things that are on the ship anymore. As you awake, a certain Dr. Polito informs you that you need to help stop the alienoid enemies from some way. It takes you a couple of hours, but you manage to defeat most of the threat, and now you are told to reach the operations deck. Only one door is open for you to access, the door to reach the office of Dr. Polito. As you enter, you find the corpse of Dr. Polito sat in the chair, dead all along, because someone was using her. That someone was the sentient artificial intelligence, Shodan.
The Polito form is dead, insect. Are you afraid? What is it you fear?
The end of your trivial existence.
When the history of my glory is written, your species shall only be a footnote to my magnificence.
Items dropped.
Shodan is kind of like a cross between Hal from 2001: A Space Odyssey and Anne from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. She is an AI with a god complex, making her essentially a literal sense of Deus Ex Machina. Her revelation is one of the bigger twists in games, and it is a massive slap to the face, as you were supposed to be destroying enemies when in fact you were just destroying the creations of who you were helping, so as to inhibit their growth and not make them too powerful. To be honest, there are many disturbing things in this game, such as the many.
What is a drop of rain compared to the storm? What is a thought compared to a mind?
The ghost visions.
They're not gonna change. Rachel, kids, I'm sorry.
As well as the annelids that you fight. The thing is, most of these are linked to Shodan. Shodan is one of the freakiest antagonists to have ever been created, and it's only reinforced by how manipulative and twisted she can be. There is just one thing that is creepier. However, before we continue, let's recap from 15 to 2. Uboa from Yumeniki, Shinra Electric Company from Final Fantasy VII, Big Boo's Haunt, Ravenholm from Half-Life 2, The Distortion World from Pokemon Platinum, GFS Valhalla from Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, Arsenal gear from Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, the sunken ship, Scarecrow from Batman Arkham Asylum, Cave of the Past from Earthbound, the Regenerators from Resident Evil 4, Alma Wade from Fear, Pyramid Heads from Silent Hill 2, and Shodan from System Shock 2. The Legend of Zelda has its fair share of freaky events. I mean, that one cutscene in Twilight Princess says everything. However, the game in question is not Twilight Princess. In fact, it's Majora's Mask. The biggest problem with this is, however, that Majora's Mask is so screwed up that it's incredibly difficult to even choose a single thing from it. Just how? I mean, you have Ikana Canyon, the transformation masks, the Elegy of Emptiness, the moon, Majora's Mask itself. Majora's Mask is, in my opinion, the freakiest thing in gaming ever, and I will list reasons why I think this is. Majora's Mask is a mask which, if a being wears it, will be controlled by the mask and the forces the user to do the mask's will, with no way to combat it. The idea of mask can take over a person's abilities is already freaky enough. Just imagine you can't control your actions just because of a mask. Actually, wait. No, hang on. What am I doing? I mean, Majora's Mask is just disturbing from beginning to end. So, why am I picking one thing? You know what? I'll just say this. It is impossible to pick one thing from Majora's Mask, as Majora's Mask as a whole is way too disturbing for words. This may seem like an abrupt ending, but there is a big reason for this, and I think you'll know why. This has been Daniel Learmouth, and before I depart, Majora's Mask will be the main topic of discussion in the Oddities Episode 2. This is Daniel Learmouth, signing off.